like a completely new person. And
Hold
I
on,
don't
you have a
know.
tiny
I don't
bit of
know why.
echo. You have a little bit of room echo.
I have a room echo.
Yeah, a tiny bit. Usually you don't. That's why I noticed it. Or maybe we just haven't
Whoa!
done this.
Hold on.
It's
Can
okay
you
because
hear
you were
now?
about to roll.
Is that good
I
now?
think you're good. Does
No, I
oh,
think I
producer
should. I think.
Spencer agrees. Okay, then you're fine.
Yeah,
Then
no,
you're
I
good.
think I definitely am good now. Yeah.
Then you're good.
Okay. As long as, yeah, I'm seeing audio coming through. So
Okay, then you're good. Yeah, it was just one of those.
appropriate. We haven't recorded in like I don't know since Nom.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry, I was just looking at a couple of the things that went through. But we will talk about later. But yeah, dude, you were about to tell a story about the last couple of weeks, and I would love to hear it because it's because it is the same problem situation that I've been in.
You mean the situation where basically I left one job and went to my second job, which is not running the house. My wife would get pissed if I said that. More so watching the kids every day, all day, and then forgetting to put in all of our picks into Pick'em. Thank God you did that because
Oh yeah,
we ended up finishing in the money on the
oh
Pick'em this year.
yeah. I
So
mean,
good
that was
job
good. I
by
thought that the
us.
story was going to go somewhere totally different. So like, I thought you were going a totally different direction with this. I thought you were going to talk about like what the last couple of weeks have been like, just as a dad, not even as a bettor.
Well, as a dad, as a dad, the thing is, a dad, like the last couple of weeks, it's like there's so much stuff to bet in the last couple of weeks, except when you have like. So the thing is, your spouse and your family are also off at this time, so it's not like even though you have like this flurry of different events, you had the college football playoff, you had weeks 17, 18, I think we were even almost like week 16 of NFL that were part of this too. Tons of hockey, tons of basketball, but like you also have to be present for a lot of the family functions. Like I had to do family photos one day. We had I don't know how many Christmas parties I had to go to for family or friend functions. You have like New Year's Eve. You've got people. We do a New Year's Eve party with like a bunch of
Oh, you do?
our
Now I
kids'
know this for next
parents.
year.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So like so my point being is actually it's really not a great time as a dad to put in a lot of bets because you have a lot of other obligations that you have to be attending to. And and also that I was just releasing shit left and right
Oh
for
man,
handigraphs, which we will get into.
you front loaded. So what a front loaded cold open, first of all, for Dad's Bet Baseball. Just tons of teasers in that one for everything that we have going on. Adam Rosenberg with me as always, CJ Buskey, aka Slip and Jimmy, presented by Hall of Fame Bets. Use code DADS. We aren't washing that aside. There's some things in Hall of Fame Bets we want to show you a little bit later in the show. But yeah, it's been 2 weeks of every day has felt like Thursday, and I think we kind of getting the holiday weeks for NFL are extremely difficult because they mess up all of the capping schedule. Like
Yes.
completely.
Yes.
Like that Thanksgiving where you have to have plays by Tuesday so that we can have props by Wednesday so that you could not be on your phone on Thursday, even though most of the holiday is actually a lot of sitting around, which is kind of weird. So
Sitting around, but you have to be paying attention while sitting around is the key thing.
What do you, I'm like earlier tonight, my wife was like, I was sitting next to Nora and she said, Nora told me to like wait to do something. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to pick up my phone. And she's like, you have to put your phone away. And I'm like, why? She literally told me I could pick up my phone and do whatever. And it's fine. This is actually like when she starts talking to me, I'll put it down and give her this. But what's the problem here? So, but the holidays, it's just super weird because I'm just like, all we're doing is being in the same cell with these kids because kids get bored so easily. And the fact that Christmas and New Year's fell on Thursdays made it so that they didn't have school on the Fridays, and then the whole week was a wash, and they both got sick and they both got pink eye.
And add into the fact that, I mean, in the Northeast, it was wicked cold here. Like it snowed twice during. I think it snowed like
We did. We
4
got a
or
white
5
Christmas.
times in
We got a
December,
white
which
Christmas.
is the most that I know I've seen since I've lived in the New York area in over 10 years in terms of that many times snowing. So, yeah, you get a nice taste of like, it was like December like 26th. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like winter's 5 official days old. I've got 3 more months of this shit that we got
It
to
gets
deal with.
really
But
bad too.
it gets dark. But you know what? Uh, that's why we got to focus on a lot of hockey here in the next month, and then we got spring training. We got pitchers and
Spring
catchers
training's in
coming
7 weeks.
in 7
7 weeks.
weeks. Seven
Yeah.
weeks. So I think we're officially past the halfway point of the baseball offseason, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we definitely are. And we'll talk about that towards the end. I think we'll start off. We have a little bit of football for you guys. Obviously, Black Monday was this week with a lot of folks getting fired. No surprise. Everyone's surprised. If you were surprised that John Harbaugh got fired, you have not watched any football for the last 2 years.
I
That
can't wait for Sean. Just go back and listen to Sean's soliloquy about this. What, 2 months
he
ago?
called this also last year when I did a show for another organization. He said it. It made complete sense. The guy doesn't know how to manage games, and then seeing people saying, "Oh, he'd be so great on the." I won't say people. I'll throw them directly under the bus. Ryan Kramer thinking that John Harbaugh will be a good Giants coach. Okay, cool, man. QB whisperer John Harbaugh for Jackson Dart. That'll go very, very well. Good luck, guys. I think that it's just John Harbaugh. It sort of has to be kind of put out to pasture. Sorry, he's done some great things over the last 20 odd years, but
Yeah. You know what? I was having this debate. I don't know what your thoughts are on this because you've got so the thing with John Harbaugh is we agree that the also, by the way, apparently one of the reasons that he got let go was because he refused to fire Todd Monken. I don't know if I believe that. That was Diana Rossini reporting that, and some of her reporting is a little bit
some of her
questionable.
reporting is a little, yeah.
But John Harbaugh, like 18 years in Baltimore. One of my favorite things to do, by the way, on whenever this happens to different teams, is to go to their team's Reddit page, and I want to go read all of the kind of just general fan reaction. And the fan reaction, like for the most part, was very much appreciative of John Harbaugh, at least from the /Ravens subreddit. But there are guys already that are much, much worse head coaching candidates than John Harbaugh that are going to get interviews. Matt Nagy has apparently already been called to interview for the
reinvented himself
Tennessee
somehow.
Titans head coaching job. Raheem Morris
that's
got fired
job.
after 2 seasons and was, I think he was like, I have to go back and look at the record. He was like 17 and like 38 in Tampa before ending up like resurrecting his career. So
these guys, by the way, were all on the same staff with Andy Reid way back when.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
I mean, geez, Cliff Kingsbury is being mentioned as a potential interview candidate for the Ravens. So that's my only thing with Harbaugh is like there's guys out there that haven't even earned a season and a half of winning football and are going to somehow get interviews.
So I see Javon in the comments pointing out Jason Garrett getting an interview with the Titans, which like the Titans job is an interesting job because like you have your quarterback, you have draft capital, you have money to spend, but you have an organization that isn't necessarily super committed to doing a lot of it because all they want is a new stadium. It's a very weird situation there.
Do you have a quarterback there also? Like the Cam Ward end of season stuff was not great.
I don't know if I agree with that. Cam Ward doesn't.
Don't go read one of our favorite publications, Unexpected Points, today because it was not.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine, but also like Cam Ward was in a terrible situation. And Cam Ward's not a bust.
I agree.
Like that, if that's what the question is, like Cam Ward had awful skill players and an awful coach and an awful O-line, and still constantly was slinging it. He actually really didn't turn the ball over like a ton towards the end. Like he was doing pretty well on stuff. Like I don't think Cam Ward's a bust. I'm in on Cam Ward. There's other guys there are other quarterbacks in that rookie class that I'm not convinced have a future, but Cam Ward I think is going to be okay.
Well, let me ask you this, because this tails kind of into one of our future caches that was big this. Oh, go on.
Well,
I was gonna
yeah.
compare Cam Ward to somebody else, but I'll save
Well,
that.
I
If
don't
you've
because I don't
got
want to get
if
out.
you've
I don't
got
want to get off
something you
track
drop
on
there.
Cam Ward. I wanted to stick it to the coaching thing because the point I was going to make, you mentioned Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury, who only coaches for half a season, is actually, all things considered, probably a really good fit for the Giants because he actually does have a solid track record of getting young QBs on a road towards honestly pretty solid stats and getting their things together. Like people forget, like Kyler Murray was doing great for a while. Like the whole wheels fell off because his offense is very easy to figure out. He's not going to cost them much at all. And probably is the best, I think, kind of person for what Jackson Dart. I'm not a Jackson Dart guy. I think that Lane Kiffin coordinators masked a lot of his inefficiencies. Like Lincoln Riley couldn't get this kid to be a Heisman candidate. I don't know why anyone thinks he's like as great as he is, but I think Cliff Kingsbury can and should be the next Giants coach. Just because they kept their GM and I can't see them making big splash kind of stuff. And at least you sort of know that you have somebody mildly competent with a mildly competent quarterback. But anyway, what was the thing you were going to say? You want
Well, the last thing I'll just say about that is I think it is interesting is this year there is not, to my knowledge, there's not really a hot OC that is like everybody needs to talk to this guy. Like Ben Johnson obviously was that guy the last couple of years. Mike McDaniel was that guy at one point, right? No, there's no OC. I guess maybe Stefanski. Like Stefanski might be in that category, but I don't know. I think the shine has maybe come off him a little bit. I don't necessarily blame him also for. I can't believe the GM in classic Browns fashion. By the way, they keep the GM who trades for Watson, and then they let Stefanski go, who was a two-time coach of the year. Cam Ward thing. The last thing I'll just say about that. And to bring it home to this future that I mentioned that we cashed this weekend, can Cam Ward become better than Bryce Young? Because clearly,
yes,
Bryce Young,
yes,
in a bad division, was at least able to be functional enough to win that division.
Yes, but he also threw for like 55 yards multiple times. The thing is, here's the thing that Cam Ward is probably going to get well before Bryce Young gets it. Is that Bryce Young needs a very, very good. Bryce Young needs he needs an incredibly innovative OC to make up for physical limitations that he has. The fact that his career started with Frank Reich meant that he is trained to be on third and unmanageable. Cam Ward has a bit more of a body, certainly a better arm, and some basic QB stuff that's a lot better. Like Ward is very good. Javon saying it. Ward is really good off script. If Ward gets good skill players and a good OC, you're going to see a giant, like people said this stuff about Caleb Williams. When Caleb Williams got a competent OC and skill players, everything changed. The Titans roster, and then after this, we go into it's Victor Levin. The Titans roster, top to bottom, next to the Jets, is probably the worst roster in the NFL. Next to the Jets and the Raiders, I'd say. Like,
yeah, I would put the Raiders and the Titans.
Who would you salvage? Who would you salvage? Well, I mean, at least on the Raiders, you could say, yeah, I would salvage. I mean, you'd salvage Genty. You would salvage. Okay, that's it. You salvage Genty. That's probably.
Now I need to go to that roster.
No. Yeah, and Brock, you would salvage.
You definitely salvage.
I don't know who you would salvage on. This is a Titans team that's opened the season with Tyler Lockett as like their number 2 and Calvin Ridley as their number 1. And Tony Pollard, who's never been an everyday back and cannot be an everyday back. And
are we talking only offensive or are we talking defensive players also?
Skill players.
Okay.
And then that's all.
Okay.
That's all that's
clearly Crosby on the Raiders would be one. Simmons.
Right. But those aren't skill players. Like skill players, I mean, are the guys that are like helping Cam Ward move a ball. Like the reality is that Cam Ward is in an incredibly bad situation.
Yeah.
Because all of those guys, look at it this way. Would you draft in fantasy a single guy on that team to do anything for your team?
I would take Manor as like a late round flyer.
Yeah, but
That would
that's
be the
you
only
would
guy.
yeah, as like a thing, right? But like, who are these guys? Like, they didn't take anything seriously on any signings. They didn't spend any money on anything. They owe that they owe him a weapon, and you can't develop as a quarterback unless you have that kind of weapon with you, and then a good OC that makes all that stuff happen. Like
Yeah.
the leaps that Jalen Hurts took also came along the same time that Devonta Smith came through, and then they, finally when things came together, when obviously had Kellen Moore and stuff like that. But look, the victory lap here, we won a Panthers 18-1 future. We gave it out multiple places. I know there's crossover audience for Propcast from here, whatever. All y'all were on it with us. It was a fantastic cash. We won it by losing, which was even better.
I had a fantastic hedge as part of that too, because
you got a bonkers number at the end.
50 to 1 when Tyler Shuck was driving the ball. They were past midfield, and the Saints were 50 to 1 to win the game. Mind you that now the onside kick, the percentage typically, I think it's like around like 10 to 12% or something around those lines. But like the Saints were clearly going to score, and then you get an onside kick. They literally need a field goal. They would have won the game. So
I agree. I agree.
I agree. That was when I kind of had hit. I was like, great, like glad I waited to hedge this, because now I'm cashing this basically either way. But yeah, I mean, I know that was one. I think it was like early October that we placed that one. It was like,
it was October 13th.
Second week.
It was
right?
because they were about to play divisional games, and they were 18 to 1. The Tampa Baker steam was at its peak.
Right. This is before Baker really started to like slide.
Well, it was just, and the whole cap on it was, why is a team that has played the same number of divisional games 18 to 1 to
and they were only a game behind at that point.
Well, they hadn't played any division. They played like all their divisional games were backloaded. They'd only played
but I'm saying in the standings they were literally one game behind, and they had just beaten the Cowboys, I believe, at home. So like that was coming off a good win. I mean, in retrospect, maybe it wasn't as good a win, but at the time, like that was perceived as a good win for them. And I just think getting a division price like that when you're one game behind and you have yet to play that team is absurd. So
I mean, we don't have to wax on the reasons why it happened. I mean, the number one reason was the team that was ahead. Just a wrong price when they've only played in divisional stuff. If you played one game and you have the 10, 12 weeks of the season left and you still haven't played that team in front of you, that's a bet. So that was part of the reason why, like, I took Seattle right before they played Arizona on a Thursday night game, plus 750 to win the NFC West. Guess what happened? They were third, quote unquote, third place at the time. They hadn't played anybody in the division yet. It didn't make any sense. So that cashed. Had some other stuff that kind of that came through. Got Jags division, part of the CJ Sullivan, Ryan, everybody at SUBM. We're all a bunch of Jagoff stuff. I think we're all on them this weekend. If you guys want an early thing, I just put Trevor Lawrence to leads
8 to 1.
8 to 1. It was 10 to 1 yesterday, so I really lost a lot, but I still think that the total's 51. So I mean, it's like that the total's kind of telling you stuff there. But man, this is football was good. We're gonna kind of move into a lot more of the baseball and the hockey stuff, but there's lots of best opportunities are not always week to week on NFL. It's on the sides. It's week to week on, just doing logic on some of the future stuff. I mean, we have a Puka, we have for whatever reason that Puka OPOI is still on life support, but it's alive. There's a lot of a lot of these things are just about how you factor in, like the numbers are never getting right. Like 18 to 1 should never be a divisional price before teams have played divisional games.
Well, friend of the show, Scott Seidenberg, by the way, pointed out that the Puka number doesn't really make sense for OPOY. Like he is essentially, I think he's only like 100 yards behind JSN, and he played 2 fewer games. So Like it's not one of those
JSN
cases
really
where
hit a wall the last 5 games of
yeah.
the season.
So it's not a case where it's like Puka had like 1,200 yards, but he missed like 4 or 5 games, so you can project that out. Like he missed two, and he's only 100 yards behind JSN, and I don't think it's gonna. I don't think they would give MVP to Stafford and OPOY to Puka. I think if Stafford doesn't get MVP, but that's to me like that's more of a reason why if you're still getting a really long price on Puka, if you think that Drake May is winning MVP, then you might get some value there on betting Puka for OPOY because the case is not nearly as strong for JSN as it was about a month ago, and um, I mean, I still don't understand why Mike McDonald is also not like a Coach of the Year favorite. I guess they're just going to give this to Vrabel, but whatever. We'll talk a lot more football on our Thursday edition later this week. I think the games this weekend though are going to be fantastic. Besides the Rams Panthers game on 4 p.m. Saturday, I can't believe the Bills Jags is the 1 p.m. game Sunday. I think that's like the best game of the entire weekend, and they're
I do. Well, because it's 2 Eastern time zone games, and so teams. So like the Pats were always going to be the night game.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think Pats Chargers is kind of like I don't know. I'm just not nearly as excited for that game at 8:30 versus.
I'm not either. I'm
Bills Jags. I'm
not either. But
way
like,
better.
But you can't. What do you like?
Or Niners. You could put Niners Eagles in that spot too.
Niners Eagles is at 4 on Saturday.
No, it's at 4 on Sunday.
4 on Sunday. So
yeah. No, I'm saying you could have put Niners Eagles as the 8:30 game, and you could have,
but you weren't gonna. But they weren't gonna do that. The Pats are the 2 seed. Like you're not gonna like Pats are the 2 seed. It's real good narrative for Drake May having a primetime game on this night thing. I'm not a Drake May hater either. So the thing I will point out on him that was a stat that stuck with me is the fact that he, as we've gone 20 minutes now talking about football, so we're going to brief on it. We have to close the football section after this. 0 touchdown passes against playoff teams. Context matters. He only played 4 playoff teams, but also 20% of his touchdowns came against the Jets.
I will have a lot more thoughts on the Patriots on Thursdays. Is all I'm going to say. Okay. I have not.
I will give this out now because it's you're bullish on the Patriots.
No, I'm very bearish on the Patriots.
Okay.
Going forward, I think they can win this weekend, but I just don't see them having a super high ceiling. Are you about to tell me the Patriots to win the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay.
First of all, now is not the time to bet any of these teams to win the Super Bowl. Bet exactas on any of them. But I will give out the other play that I did take. Stephon Diggs, 22-1 to lead the day in receiving yards. Primetime games. He's got over 100 yards in 4 of his last 5 primetime games. He's sort of also game script proof because like him or Hunter Henry are going to be the guys that are going to get leaned on for this kind of thing. It's just a volume thing. So I just think that it's So anyway, let's move forward. Where are we going to? We're going to hockey. Do you want to take over?
Yeah, let's talk some puck. I mean, there's been so much stuff that we have put out for Handigraphs that we've been talking about. I mean, we had that great episode. I think our episode with McInnes was the last episode that we recorded before we took our break. And, for the listeners, we haven't really gotten to talk a ton of hockey up until then, but I thought it would be a good little way here to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we've done with Handigraphs, but also go into some of the different metrics, some of the different filters and stuff that we're using right now that we find important in hockey, because I think that's one thing that we haven't been able to do a lot since baseball season is kind of a little bit more of explaining, understanding, what some of these different advanced stats, metrics, why they're meaningful, etc. So if you want, I can pull up. I've got Handigraphs up right here, and we can see if we can even kind of go through this, look for a few bets here for the was it 10 p.m. PST games? We've got a couple. We've got Columbus and
Well, we don't have to.
the Sharks.
Well, oh
We've
yeah, I
got
guess you're right. I guess
Seattle. Yeah.
we could talk through because one of the angles and things I was going to show. So let's taking it all a step back. So why don't you do this? Why don't you show everybody what we got and what you're excited about and what we're sending an email on tomorrow, and then we could talk a little bit about how you're using it with premier partner and friend of the program, Hall of Fame Bets, and then I'll show some stuff too.
Yeah, great. I mean, I've got it ready to go.
Good.
Pull it up.
Ship them in.
So
look at that gorgeous looking game center.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, I mean, I think so. The last time that we had talked hockey on this show, we were going through with our friend from Wager Talk, Andrew McKinnis, on the what we had with skaters, team stats, goalies. Like we had done quite a bit up until that point. One of the things that we had extra time for over the holidays, really just meaning that my regular gig had slowed down enough that I could actually focus on a few things, was building a page or a way that you can be able to kind of see every single game and then get a summary of what you should be looking for in each of those games. So if we go to that Columbus game and you click on the card here, you've got your goalies and Askarov versus Greaves. It looks like, I think those are still the expected for tonight. Compare the different.
Wait, is it because Ned Veldick was?
Let me look. Hold on.
He was early.
I want to make sure I have a game where the goalies are still confirmed. Let's look.
I mean, it's
Ned. No, you're right. So let me look at what's Boston. It's Decord and Swayman. Let's see. Do I have Decord and Swayman? Okay. Let's do Boston, Seattle, because it does look like Decord and Swayman are the guys that are starting tonight. So all this really is just a very easy way for you to kind of compare in standard Handigraphs form the light blue, dark blue, red, what is good, what is bad, and see the recent splits and just kind of who's been hot, who's been not, how the goalie's been playing. Just a quick summary to kind of see that. You can see the different skater matchup splits where they're dynamic. So both of these teams are, it looks like, bottom 10 in shots on goal allowed. So which players actually play a lot better when they're playing those types of teams? And then we have our these AI insights that we generate, that the main stuff that, and it might be good for you to talk a little bit about this, Adam, is we use a combination of a bunch of different stats that we go to generate some of the different insights for the upcoming games. The ones that we focus on a lot, though, are Corsi, Fenwick, and the high danger chances. Can you, for anybody who's not familiar with what those mean, can you kind of walk through why those are important?
So Corsi is effectively, the shortest way to describe it is that it's effectively a possession metric. It accounts for both shots that have been blocked, shots that have been unblocked, shots on goal. It's a solid metric to use to tell you about, from a team perspective, is a team doing a really good job of possessing the puck, which then leads into high danger chances, how it correlates to scoring chances and high danger chances. Scoring chances being getting shots on goal, and high danger chances being shots on goal within a literal area, physical area.
Yeah.
And so those are usually correlated. I use a lot of Fenwick, because Fenwick, I use it on an individual basis because Fenwick is unblocked shots. So it's shots that got through, but maybe they were they just went it was basically on the skater that they messed it up. Corsi accounts for the shots being blocked. So Corsi is accounting for, hey, I don't care that there was a defender who blocked this. You still got a point for that, or you got a mark for that. Fenwick doesn't do that. But so I use one for individual, one for the team. So that being said, high danger chances are something I look at when we're looking at goalies, because when you go to our goalie tab, you can basically regardless of what the team situation is, you can see a couple things that really matter, which are goalies are facing volume. Volume leads to shots and chances. Shots and chances that are nasty are high danger ones. That's indicative of the defense in front of you not clearing the puck out. When I see goalies that are a good example is probably Igor Shesterkin. Igor is a good one, even though he's hurt. Sorokin's a real good one.
Had the over saves on him last night, by the way. 9 saves through like was it? I think it was like 11 minutes, and then gets pulled.
Yeah,
great. Shesterkin, who like never misses games, but yeah, go on.
Well, so anyway, you'll see like he has a lot of high danger chances because basically the Islanders are just constantly creating things in front of them. So high danger chances equate to high possible goals. But the biggest thing that you want to look at when you're looking at goalies, and you can do this really well on our site, is are they facing a lot of shots? Because if you're facing a lot of shots, that's volume. If you're facing not a lot of shots, but you might be going against a team that has like a really high Corsi but doesn't do a lot of shots, means that team is probably really ruthlessly efficient, like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay doesn't shoot a ton, but when they do, it's deadly. Montreal, same kind of situation with them. Then you have a team like Colorado who just like shoot a billion times and it doesn't really matter.
I was going to say Colorado, you mean who shoots a billion times and also shoots a billion times from the high danger area? Yeah, that's Colorado.
So anyway, so that's kind of how I look at some of those things. I know, like, I mean, and I'll show everybody when I kind of go through like a play that I took for a bit later. But yeah, I mean, like the cool thing on our site is that a lot of our stuff is going to give you just solid, hey, is this good or is this bad? And then from there, you can just go to numerous other sites. You can make models, you can do whatever, and you can say, oh, okay, this is happening a lot and I care about it. And I think I want to make a bet.
Well, and so that's kind of one of the nice things that we had put together through Game Center, which was, you can already take any of those tables we were just going through and showing there and export it, upload it to a different, ChatGPT, whatever. We do the work for you. So we export a bunch of this and basically give you those insights right when you wake up. So obviously you can still go and take the specific things that you want to look at, but everything that's part of, if you're looking again at this Boston-Seattle game, like Decord, really good save percentage in the last 180 minutes, might be masking significant defensive flaws. And then another thing here points out that Seattle still averaging about 3.3 goals scored per game because why? They've had a really good power play in their last 10 games. But that's all just taking the stuff that you would normally do, export it, and now we're kind of giving you those up front. And then you can even, the cool thing that we've also put together is you'll see like this little button for ad for each of these. So one thing that I know I've had this problem, this is one of the reasons we kind of put this together, is if I'm going through and building a cap, I tend to forget like what the stat was that I liked on one page when I'm going to another. So if I'm looking, for example, at this insight here where it's like, oh, okay, hot power play, 30%, that's interesting. I can just add this and you'll see there's a little thing that comes up here we call this angles. So you're just building your angle throughout the different insights and the stats that you want to add. So, okay, so I've added, Boston, Seattle, Seattle still scoring a lot because of their power play. What's the next thing I'm going to go look at? Well, how is Boston's penalty kill? So Boston's penalty kill in the last 5, pretty good, right? Last 10, pretty bad. And then for the season, they've been okay. So, that might not necessarily be as much of an advantage. You can actually see that Seattle's power play has kind of cooled off. So Seattle, again, scoring in their last 10, 3.3 goals per game. You had a 30% power play, which was in the top, 10th percentile, basically, of the league. That's cooled off. Boston's penalty kill has actually gotten pretty good. So right there, you'd say, okay, well, to me, Boston already might have a slight advantage in that Seattle isn't really generating a lot of offense as is. And the other thing that you were just kind of referencing there, Berg, like their Corsi has been like dreadful. 51 per game in terms of Corsi possessions and scoring chances, and even their Fenwick has actually been pretty low. So when you're looking at teams, for me, like I want to. You can also, what I think is interesting is teams that have really high Corsi, but you might see them letting up shots on goal. They still might actually be a pretty good defensive team because they're controlling possession a lot. So if they're giving up shots on goal, but they're not high danger, that means that they don't really give up the possession a lot. And when they do give up possession, they're not giving up a lot of high danger chances. So that still might be a good defense. But to what your point was kind of saying earlier, if they're playing like a Tampa Bay, if they're playing a Montreal, and maybe if they've gotten a little bit worse at giving up high danger chances, so like Boston here, not very good, right? Almost 10 high danger chances per game, then that's a a flaw within their defense that is going to get exploited, even if they are controlling possession a lot of the puck.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing. I'm also big on Decord. I mean, it's the thing though. So I don't know. Like I look at that. So I'll one of the things that I've been doing. So the goalie stuff is half of it. And then let me take the wheel. Hold on. So you look at the goalie stuff. I know this is riveting fucking podcasting for people that don't have our website, but you know what? It's like this is just how it is. Okay. So here's the deal. Go to what were you on? Team stats? You're on the team stuff? What
sure.
were you on? Team or goalie?
Yeah, I was on team. I was on team. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So look, here's the stuff. And again, hockey's a high variance sport, so it just matters how you want to do it. Like I do some stuff on 5, I do whatever. Like I usually have it like 2 games on at once. Like Seattle's coming to its own. Like lately, they've been actually like a really good. They suddenly became like a crazy shooting team. They aren't always like that. But the stuff that I care about, like I care about this over here, as you had mentioned, like when these things are opposite. So this is a really good power play team against a really bad penalty kill team. That to me is like an over signal. But one of the things that I look at is when I'm looking at the goalies and I go to season and I'm going to the last 180, which by the way, whenever you look at 180, always go and look at 121 and 60 because you might end up seeing, oh, this guy just had one bad game. Okay. So I'll then let's go to the Bruins and let's sort by game and see what's been happening. Individual Corsi 4, which is one of my favorite metrics as a general in terms of possession stuff. Actually, individual high danger per game is actually really my favorite. But if you look and you kind of look at what the median is, and median's like less than half the roster is doing it means they're not actually creating or putting things home and becoming a threat. That's what I look at on skaters as I'm looking at the goalies, because all this stuff in context, like this is great. Swayman's doing really well, even though he's been terrible had some pretty bad moments. He's got a really high shots on goal rebound. He's got really high danger chances. So this is like, all this is screaming to me, like, watch out. But if I go to Seattle's and I sort by, well, how many of these guys on the team are actually doing anything? Look, you could, even if you don't know what these metrics mean and blue is good and red is bad, most of this roster is blue in terms of creating, which means that they're not a threat or they're not threatening right now. So that's kind of the stuff that I like to put together. I usually take this and then I'll go over to what is it? What am I on? I'm on Hall of Fame Bets.
Hall of Fame Bets.
And that's where I will kind of do some checking. I mean, really a good example. So right now let's go to goals allowed and let's actually look at that game because this game's coming up and this is really good to use. This is a really good way to use this. So, all right. So it'll tell us how often both of these teams are giving up goals. So like the Bruins, like 6 out of the last 10, they've given up 3 or more goals. And they've actually been better defensively in their last 5. Same deal with the Kraken. And we just saw that on the Kraken side, a lot of those guys aren't they're just not in they're not in good form. So this is where I would probably say, okay, I'm going to use this. I just found the trend on what they're giving up, and I'm going to look at a team total under maybe, or the game under, and let's kind of look. Oops, team under. Team goals 5.5. We don't want that. 3.5. Under. Oh, look at this. No, not total goals. Team goals. There it is. Team goals over 2.5. Let's do under. Yeah, this is a great bet. Like, I know it's happened one in the last 5, but like the chances have been pretty good on it. Is that plus 126? Plus 126 for an under on the team total. And then I'll like to look usually at the total for the game. I'm assuming that it is 5.5. And it is. And let's see. Let's do. I think what we want to do. Yeah, I think we want to take I think I want to mess around with an under here. So these are kind of how I use Hall of Fame bets to mix with some of the stuff that we're doing on Handigraphs. But to kind of sum it all up, I go from what the goalies are doing to what the skaters are doing to then what the trend is within that. Because we used to do this for baseball all the time. If you had a really good pitcher and you had the pitcher and you looked at, we would click on the lineup. The lineup was all blue. We're like, well, we're not taking, this guy's going to shred through them, right? Same kind of thing applies here. So that's kind of the, and I can see that I'm like, I can see you mentally taking notes. You're like, oh, that's actually a great point.
No,
like,
no. You know what's funny? How my sort of gears were turning there is I actually start, and so, I mean, we have like team stats in baseball, like they're interesting, but at the end of the day, you really just care about the guy on the mound and who's in the lineup and how they're going to match up against that guy on the mound, and the bullpen for that matter. So you had mentioned you kind of start with goalie, and then you go to skaters, and then you go to like team stats. I actually start typically with team stats, and I go and I look at which of these teams have really crappy defenses. Okay, here's the teams that are allowing a lot of Corsi, allowing a lot of Fenwick, a lot of scoring chances on goal. So that's another one that you guys can use, which is like was SCGA, I believe, scoring chances on goal allowed. So those are actual scoring chances that lead to a shot on goal. I actually start with team stats, then I go to skaters, and I go to see, okay, who would match up well against this team in terms of positional defense. Is it a winger? Is it a center? Is there an opportunity for a guy on like line 3 who's not going to get as much playing time, but you're going to get a good price on the point? And then I go to goalie as the last piece. So I just think that's interesting that you kind of do the inverse of that. Like you go straight to the goalie first. All right, how's this goalie playing? And then going into the skaters and into the team stats, where I'm kind of looking at the team defense and then saying, well, if the team defense is really bad, then I'm already kind of not sure what I want to do with the goalie, but I'm going to eventually get to that point after I see which skaters I like.
Well, because the thing is that depending on who your goalie is going to change your mode on how you're going to play defensively. For example, I always bring this up, but Samuel Ersson never sees shots because the Flyers don't want him to. And it doesn't, there's no right way to do it. I've also
like what you were saying with what was it from Utah the other day? Remember we were texting about him where
I would have liked it.
That
play got there. That play got there anyway, but it's not how I thought it would. So like I'm a big fan of Vejmelka.
Yeah,
and he'd been injured, which now in hindsight it was probably because he was injured. But he was terrible in that game, and I'd taken the over because I thought Vanek was going to be in. He's terrible, and it ended up working out. The biggest thing for me has been that if you look at a I got to compare it to how we do baseball, because that's just how it is. Like baseball, we started with pitchers. Why would we not start with the goalie? But you don't have to.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of which. Like I've now lately started saying, okay, goalies, let's do what I'm going to do here and do the whole thing. For example, I was on Bussy under shots tonight. Why did I like that? Because 1, Carolina doesn't give up a ton of those shots. 2, because his save percentage is pretty low on the shots that he does face. That looks relatively good right now. But then I'll go to skaters, and I have a little filter for skaters that I've cooked up with Shreeds. And it's kind of same way we would for baseball. Like, okay, what's my BABIP for this? And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make Corsi's kind of my BABIP, And then, well, what's my hard hit rate? All right, well, high danger chance is like hard hit rate. And so I look for guys who
Yeah.
kind of
No,
done that.
that's a good call. It's a good call that you're kind of just morphing over the process from baseball, which it does make sense. Like, the starter, there's one position player in baseball that's going to have a greater impact on the game than any, and that is the starting pitcher. And the same thing obviously for in hockey. And the thing in hockey too is, I mean, you're going to have a goalie that's going to be playing most of the time, will be playing a full game, whereas a starting pitcher, you're obviously only going to get 5-6 innings typically.
Yeah, and that's like the
greater.
thing on all of it is that the goalie's going to be there the whole time. The skater, like that's like earlier today, like Mobes was like, and I swear, guys, we're going to go to MLB from this because we're already at 45 minutes. But he asked me, he's like, "Oh, do you sort by time on ice?" And I said, "Well, the problem with that is that there's a billion reasons why time of ice could change for a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Game script. They could have been on the power play the whole time, and he's a third line guy that never gets on the power play. They could have been on penalty kill the whole time, and he's never going to be like, he could get hurt. The goalie, he's in, man, unless he gets hurt and he's out or he's terrible.
I mean, or he's just terrible. Just
and if he's terrible, but if he's terrible, you learn that from the from the time on ice. You don't necessarily learn that from time on ice of skaters. Because there's a ton of I've watched Mitch Koff get benched for an entire period because Tortella didn't like him, and it's a tough kind of situation.
Skater's volume is also just so much lower. Like, look, I loved Backlund last night for a goal, for points. Like, all his stuff was leading towards that.
I love that. I was on that play too. I had plus 150.
He was gonna net one.
He had 7.
Exactly. Yeah. It was like it was a dumb price, I think, too, for what his point was or whatever. But didn't end up coming through. Didn't even come close. But to that point, like, I mean, that's also kind of the same way, like with baseball. Like, you're gonna have guys just go over 4. Like, it's just not enough opportunities. You're playing with pretty limited chances.
The last thing I'll say on it is just that hockey prop betting, it's tougher. The simplest way to say it is trend on the play that's going to be within your price range that you want to do, because the reality, I'll go through, guys, and if the point is plus 125 and the goal is plus 400, I'm actually going to go with the point and just kind of like let that happen, because it's a similar cap. It's very similar to like when you and I would be like, okay, well, we cap down. Can the guy hit the home run? Well, then he definitely could get a double.
2 plus 2. I was literally just thinking, I was like, this is the same thing. It's like 2 plus total bases versus
right.
Yeah.
And I look at it like, and I just trying to lean more into, well, I'm taking a bunch of all betting is about mitigating risk. And that's sort of what we're doing here is, like I just scored, get the DeBrusque goal tonight, which if you looked at our data, he was just like primed to do one forever. And it was like 3-1, but I have like 8 bets where I'm only risking a quarter of a unit, and they're all to win a unit. And so it's just like we would have for baseball. I think that's a good time to pause, remind everybody to QR code Hall of Fame Bets, because as you saw, Hall of Fame Bets is a really good compliment to our stuff. We're going to be sending out an email on Handigraphs. I don't think we have. I don't know. We do not have any codes for you guys. We've given you guys a ton of codes, and so I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what. If you DM us directly,
we'll work
X or whatnot, or if you're part of the Discord, let us know. We'll
I mean, yes. Also, if you're media, you're getting it for free anyway. But if you're like media and you are just saying that, like, no. But if you DM us 9 times out of 10, we're going to do whatever for you. We're not trying to make revenue off you. We're just trying to also pay data bills that make the site better. So, all right. That being said, should we talk about our baby baseball?
Yeah, man. I mean, where do we want to start with? Do we want to talk about guys that have signed? Do we want to talk about guys that haven't signed?
I'm going to give us 8 minutes to talk total about baseball and do that. So why don't you start? Because I think you and I started. A lot of markets aren't up yet, but this flavor. Let's talk about guys that haven't signed.
You want to talk a little rookie of the year?
Let's talk about guys that haven't signed and why it's a little bit weird. Okay. Why hasn't Bichette signed with Toronto?
Okay, I'm glad. I'm so glad that you said this.
Are you guys
this
just
one
trying?
first.
Are we just trying to sweep my picks from the draft where I had Tucker going to Toronto and Bichette going to Detroit? Is that what we're just trying to do?
By the way, I saw Rosenthal tweeted something maybe about an hour before the show that Toronto's
way off. Yeah.
I saw that they were putting more of a push for Tucker, which that is even more of smoke to tell me that Bichette is not coming back. Like if they are more in on Kyle Tucker, they are not signing Bo Bichette. It's not happening.
Did you send to me? No, I saw it on Twitter. Schwarber, the Reds offered. First of all, you and I both thought that the Reds stuff with Schwarber was BS. And
that was a joke.
Schwarber said that the Reds said that they could make a bigger offer for him than what the Phillies had, and he said, "Don't bother," which I buy. He signed in December. I buy that.
It's also like right off of the winter. I think he was a winter meetings guy. I think he signed the week of winter meetings.
Third day of the winter meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Bichette is obviously super interesting. I believe. Did you have him going to the Tigers? Is that what think you had?
I'd go to the Tigers. Yeah.
Didn't they gave Glaber, I think, the tender, and he did accept it, I thought.
Yeah. So weird.
So I just don't know what by the way, I think if Bo Bichette is saying I will play for Detroit, they will find a way to play him. But just like the Trent Grisham one where we were like, he's they're not going to.
Trent Grisham was like, "You're going to pay me how much? I'm in." Yeah, that was.
Yeah, sweet, great.
They should never have offered him that tender. I thought they thought he wasn't going to accept that tender.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that they thought he was like, "Oh, well, I just had a 30 home run season. Maybe I can go out and get a 3 or 4 year deal." And he was like, $20 million. Thank you. Yeah, yes, I'll do this again. I think for me, I think really the guy I am watching is where is Ranger Suarez going? I just think Ranger Suarez is he would be a great addition for a lot of teams. I would love him on if the Mets could be able to sign him. I don't think that's happening. Do you believe that the Suarez Valdez smoke for Baltimore? Like, is Baltimore really this serious? They're going to go and get one of these two pitchers along with Alonso, along with Taylor Ward, along with re-signing Eflin. And
Framber makes sense because he drafted him, didn't he? I mean, they have ties from the Astros either way. Any way you cut it.
Yeah.
But
and I'm still waiting to see what the Giants do. Like that's been a team that we are already on there to win the NL at a pretty long price. That I think that was our first official future bet. And I'm, are you going to make an effort to go out and add another bat? Are you going to go and try? Would you try and go and get Tucker? Would you try and go and I think they still need more pitching on that team. I always thought Framber the Giants would make sense there.
I see pitching. They have a lot of guys that they want to bring up and get playing, like Eldridge and a lot of these.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is like they want Eldridge to get more playing time. That's pretty clear too. So, I don't know. I weirdly feel like there are a lot more dominoes to fall at this point right now than there was last year. Like, I think at this point last year, like we had Sasaki that was left. We had Alonso. We had Bregman. There was obviously some, and we had Pivetta.
Yeah. The Pivetta one, not as much as Burns. Burns didn't sign till late.
No, but Burns signed before the new year, though. I do specifically remember, I was on holiday break last year. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, because I think it was like some stupid tweet being like, Burns is so happy to go be spending Christmas back in his where he grew up in Arizona. That's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, sure.
I can't deal with
this. I don't know. So I think that the Tigers are going to come away from this offseason with either Alex Bregman or Bo Bichette. That's kind of where I'm basing everything around that, because the Tigers are in a situation where they're highly unlikely Yeah, Spencer's asking. Yes, we are. We're going to wrap this up. I promise.
Yes.
They're in a situation where they're going to. It's all but certain they're going to trade Scuball, and they gotta. I think that they're going to spend the money on one of those dudes to kind of do a last dance, at least with Scuball. But it was weird last year because of that. I think it's also like the Ime deal with Houston is 3 1-year deals or 3 1-year options, which, as we've seen with Japanese pitchers, is probably the best way to do it, because like even Yamamoto, they all need retooling when they get here. Also, as I keep telling everybody, there's going to be a lockout. If you don't believe me, like, sure, look how much Toronto's spending, and then look how much like Milwaukee has spent, and tell me there's not going to be a lockout.
Hey, the Pirates signed a free agent to a multi-year deal for the first time since Ivan Nova.
I love our Pirates, though. I'm very into our Pirates.
16. Oh yeah.
I'm very into our Pirates right now.
We will have team previews coming soon.
At some point.
Soon.
Yeah, at some point. But the biggest thing that I've looked at is I've been looking at a couple rookies, and I'm becoming very enamored with the Marlins rotation. I like Robbie Snelling and I like Thomas White. I'm not pulling the trigger on Thomas White because I don't know when he's coming up, and I think you're just going to get a longer number. You're going to get 100-1, like whatever. Like, I'll probably pull the trigger on that right before his first spring training start, because once everyone sees that he strikes out 6 guys in like 2 innings, then it's over. But I think we can still get some more juice out of that. And then Snelling, I like his floor. And then who was the other guy that I liked? Oh, it was Tolley on the
White Sox?
On the Red Sox. I liked.
On the Red Sox. Yeah. Okay.
On the Red Sox. On the AL, I liked him at 20-1. Everyone's going to bet Yusevich. And I like Tolley. I love his stuff. And he's going to have a really good situation as the 3rd or 4th starter, where he's going to be facing the 3rd or 4th pitcher on the other side.
I forgot, because they have early there too. They have
right. They do. Early is shorter odds. But look, man, like Tolley showed up in the playoffs and out of the bullpen, pitched big games. Great stuff. His whiff rate's like 36%. I'm a big fan of Tolley. I think Tolley is a 20-1 is a solid rookie of the year on a team that you and I are high on, that we think that he can have an 11-5 year pretty easily.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to like the Red Sox, but we'll save that to wax on in another conversation. I guess my only thing on the rookie side that I would bring up, that again, I don't think we saw odds for him, so we're gonna have to wait and see when they come out. But Carson Bench for the Mets is going to play starting day one.
I like this bet a lot.
He is. The Mets need an outfielder. People are dying in Queens to understand why Stearns hasn't gone out and been aggressive to spend on Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, and it's because Carson Bench is going to be the answer there. And the Mets have a lot of prospects. So the good thing, at least, when you get prospects like you had, I think Dominguez was like, I think, the favorite for AL Rookie of the Year prior to the season last year. He was at least one of the top 3. So when who was in
the NL?
Well, Sasaki was the NL. Sasaki was far and away the NL Rookie of the Year favorite at the beginning. I think Sasaki was like plus 150 at some point. But the only point I was going to make there is that typically, like, when you have like a big market team, Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, and you have a prospect that's coming up, preseason Rookie of the Year odds are usually shit. Like, you're usually you're going to have no time to bet them. That's why I'm
specifically only looking at some of the longer shots.
Right. So the only thing I was saying about Benj, though, is that the Mets already have some prospects, some guys that are going to be eligible. Like Nolan McLean is eligible. He is obviously somebody who is a very highly talented prospect.
I think he has the shortest odds.
I think he might. I think he had like plus 350 when I looked earlier. They've got Jonah Tong, who's also, I mean, he's been floated in a ton of trade rumors, but he's also another prospect that they have. They've got, I believe, Sprout is part of that. So it's a crowded prospect field, and that's why Benj is the guy I'm just kind of like keeping my eye on to see where the odds fall for him, because I think you will get some value because he's going to play a lot.
He also he's fast, and so this is one of the things that I was looking at with a lot of the guys. It's part of the reason why I'm not on. Like I'm trying. If I'm going to take a position player, I want him to steal 20 bases too, and he could definitely do that. And part of the reason why I'm not on the Pirate stuff is because the world's on Connor Griffin, and that's fine. You and I are never going to chase steam like that, and that's just not going to happen. But Password is also a rookie on that team and is probably going to mash.
Yeah.
Bubba's also a rookie on that team. It's just crowded now. And so they're all going to cannibalize each other. Look what happened with the Brewers. Rip Trevor, your guy who got traded. I think he got traded too, didn't he?
Isaac Collins, he did. He did. Yeah. Former Rookie of the Year favorite, Isaac Collins. I think
July
when we had Trevor on the show, that was who we were talking about as the favorite at that point. And then he got traded too. Also, by the way, Connor Griffin, great prospect. He's still in Double-A. He's not going to be here until end of May, early June, and it's not a Chase Burns situation where he's going to be able to get enough time. So just when you see a guy that's in Double-A that's a top prospect but is a positional player, you're likely not betting them for Rookie of the Year because they're going to come up, unless they're getting fast tracked or it's they're really starting out in Triple-A and it's going to be pretty evident, like a Skeen sort of situation. Yeah, don't bet a positional player.
There's no reason to rush it. They don't have a reason.
Yeah, I agree. Should we go to dad moves?
With the guys? Yeah, let's go to dad moves. Christmas, post Christmas and holiday edition. What do you got?
So let me ask you this, because you have the same situation I have in that you have a older daughter and a younger son. Okay. So when you have two kids, what tends to happen? Do you spend more of your time with your daughter, or you seem to be spending all your time with your son, with Jake?
My wife gives me crap about this. I spend a lot more time with Nora simply because Jake is in massive mommy mode a lot. But
okay. See, I have the opposite situation in my household.
Well, Caitlin thinks I play favorites. I don't play favorites with any of them. I just do different things with them. Nora is into very different stuff. Nora loves me taking her out to breakfast and pretending she's an adult and having conversation with her. And because she says, obviously you're gonna get toast, right, Daddy? And I'm like, that's not really where you would use obviously, but okay. And Jake, I'll just take. This weekend, I took him with me ice skating and to buy hockey stuff. I bought him hockey skates. He's like, I want to buy hockey. And he took a massive dump at the hockey place. And I was like, I don't have a bag. We're out of here, buddy. Jake has a little bit less chill than Nora right now because he's 2. But yeah, I mean,
he's also a boy. Boys just tend to have less chill than girls do too. Elena does think with you mentioned using a word that they think is appropriate for the situation, but it's really not. Elena does this thing where she says everything is, it's kind of like this. She'll be like, oh, well, this princess movie, yeah, Dad, it's kind of like what we did last weekend. I'm it actually has nothing to do with what we did last weekend. This is Aladdin riding a magic carpet, saving a princess from, some sultan or something. I was I don't think we had anything to do with that in the last couple of weekends. But well, I bring this up because one of my New Year's resolutions, if you have a kid that you feel like you're just spending all your time with because the other one is in mommy mode, is try and do a date with only one of your kids. So not both of them, only one of your kids, and try to alternate every month. That's one of my resolutions this year. Is I'm trying to figure out whatever the hell I can do to get my daughter to want to spend time with me. And I've realized I've just got to literally physically put Michelle out of the house or out of the picture in order for that to happen.
Like, you, by the way, just sounded like you described murdering your wife. Just so, like, I mean, mine is more of giving is yours like giving them a break kind of thing? Because like I will take them both out so that Caitlin can sleep.
No. This is my spouse is still watching. Not before I murder her. My spouse is still watching like my son. I'm just taking my daughter out proactively more by myself rather than giving, having to make sure that I always bring the both of them.
Are they in daycare together?
Yeah, they're in daycare together.
So then it's easy, right? You can pick them up and do them both and do that proactively, right? Like, I don't know. I guess our dynamic at home.
You got to leave. Well, you have to switch. You have to switch the who's picking each other up though. Like if I go to pick up my daughter, I have to pick up my son.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, what you're doing, my wife does all the time with Nora. I don't really do it except for the weekends because that's when I try to give my wife the biggest break. My bad, Dad.
On the weekends?
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's
okay.
I mean,
like
I'm actually shocked by that you do that on the weekends because I literally this entire week I've been thinking, what the hell am I going to do this week to try and be able to get the 1 and the 4 p.m. wildcard games so that I can just.
I mean, that's dude. So I mean, talk about the dad move. Well, I mean, I guess the dad move that we're sort of circling around that we both haven't said is like find something to do with your kids before noon every single day, like always.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like
true
that is, it can be like going to a store and just letting them look at everything. I mean, I don't know. Were your kids bored out of like they have all these Christmas presents and they're just like, I'm bored. I'm like, how is this possible?
Yes. They were bored the morning they opened their presents. Like within literally like an hour.
What is wrong with you savages?
It's crazy. We got them a freaking Christmas Eve. I spent like 3 hours putting together this indoor play gym, and the next morning they went down the slide maybe like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. Like they were having a good time with it. But then after like 20 minutes, they're like, forgot that this thing even freaking existed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you just got this like an hour ago. So yeah, I mean, have something absolutely to do with your kids. If you can split it up, even better. But always have something prior to noon. Because if you go those days during break where we had a couple of them where like we didn't have any definitive plans prior to noon, and then in the afternoon, oh my God, did those days drag?
Dude, it just falls apart. It was hell. Like it was just hell. It was. I felt like I was in a war and I just couldn't get out of it, and it was terrible. And because it snowed, they couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
and suddenly, and now they're in their like Lilo and Stitch phase, and all they do is call each other like Lilo and Stitch. And I'm just like, guys,
how much are they playing Hawaiian roller coaster ride in your house?
All the time, man. This morning. So is that a phase? Is this a thing?
I mean,
they also switch between the live action version. By the way, Zach Galifianakis is in that, and
is it in the live action one?
Yeah, and yeah, he plays.
I haven't seen the live action one. I just watched the live action Cinderella the other day, and yeah, boy does Disney take some liberties in telling the live action stories.
Well, they switch back and forth between the cartoon version and the live action version, and I see someone in the PSA don't have kids. Yeah, my PSA is always now it's turned to just don't have 2 kids. But it is what it is. All right. We meandered. We did some things on here. This was a solid waxing episode. We're gonna have Sean on Thursday. Sean Hardy, not Sean Green. We're gonna go through MLB. We're gonna go through NFL playoff futures. You may remember last year, if you watched anything that myself or CJ or Sean did, cashing into Xavier Worthy receiving yards leader at 65-1, which was
Jalen
awesome.
Hurts rushing TD leader in a dead heat that we still passed somehow.
And so I had Johan Dotson first TD. I had first TD to be a number under 15.5. First TD to be first TD to be Jalen Hurts TD, and format of first TD rush. Dotson was like 80-1, and it didn't happen. And then Hurts put it in, and everything hit, and it was amazing from then on. It was a very good Super Bowl for a lot of reasons. All right, so for Spencer, who's at Spencer_Ray, CJ, who is at Dad's That Bet. All you guys think that I'm at Dad's That Bet? That's CJ. I'm at Hey Rosenberg, and you guys should go to handigraphs.com. Start getting ready for baseball, play around with our hockey stuff. Hall of Fame bets, use code DADS. You get 25% off the first month. That whole team is awesome. All of this, and I would just say to you, CJ, after we had an hour and 10 minutes of just waxing about random sports stuff, what would you say is the final word?
Flying by on the Hawaiian roller
I knew this was
coaster
gonna
ride.